right. Good evening. Welcome to the September 24th, 2019 meeting, the special meeting of Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this special meeting was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and on the Township website, and mailed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy. 48-hour notice of this meeting was also transmitted via fax or email to the Suburban Trends, Daily Record, and the Record newspapers. Notice of this meeting was included in the statements that the purpose of this meeting is to hold a discussion about PV Park and that no formal action will be taken.
All right. Please call the roll.
Mrs. Florence Lynch is not with us yet?
No.
Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Phelan?
Here.
Mrs. Russell?
Here.
Mayor Cole?
Here. Mr. Ustad just walked in.
Good evening, Mr.
All right, this is a special meeting for discussion of PV Park. Mr. Brewer, would you like to begin?
Certainly, Mayor. Thank you. So the concept of PV Park has been discussed most significantly during the budget discussion for 2019. There's also been discussion prior to that, which led to the initiative to analyze the operations in an effort to better understand how things fell. One of the things that we identified was there was a deficit in operations in 2018, so some costs were shifted around as a component of the 2019 budget, and we reviewed, operations from soup to nuts. So compliments to the staff that participated, recreation, finance. A lot of data was gathered and presented to the Township Council in the analysis that everybody received. On the whole, approximately 17,000 people walked through the gates at PV Park, which is a significant number, over 17,000. So if there's a question about usage, I think that pretty much answers that it's getting significantly used by the public. Within the packet, I'm not going to go through each attachment because if there are questions about them, we can go through them as the council sees fit. But on the high side, PV Park 2019 had a pretty good year. The membership was up based upon some special events that we had. There was an open house day. There was a food truck festival. There was an initiative to really try to get people more engaged. I think the weather had a very positive effect. There were not a lot of washout weekends this summer. There were a lot of weekends that had great weather. And, certain events that happened in our past, I think the further we get away from them, the better we are in terms of our memory and what the park has to offer. On the whole, the park operated at approximately a $39,000 deficit. Within the operations, again, there's a tremendous amount of detail in terms of revenue. We examined staffing. We looked at cost centers like the snack stand, the swim team, and tried to identify really where costs were and costs happened. One of the things to keep in mind with this analysis is the source of funds and data to prepare this are not limited to just the recreation utility. As we know, there's funding that comes from the current fund. There's funding that people that come from the current fund staff. It's not all recreation staff. We have DPW staff that participates, and we tried to put all that into one big bucket in an effort to get a better idea and a snapshot of what the park looks like. We did identify through the discussion, Barb had some action that she took in 2019, but we identified a couple of ideas for a significant discussion tonight, along with anything else the council wants to look at. One being revenues associated with outside groups using the park, specifically outside groups for profit. We looked at some dates where the park is open, but school is not yet out, so participation is a little bit lower. And the third thing was reviewing staff assignments. Within the swim team especially, and also even in the snack bar, there may be ways that we can increase our efficiency in terms of how we assign our resources to make sure the people are where they need to be when they need to be there and the work is being done efficiently. So that's kind of the 10,000-foot view on the analysis. Where the council wants to go with it, I'd be happy to do whatever you want or listen to whatever discussion we have.
So, question for you. The 17,000 guests, that's just not unique guests, it's just everybody that's coming through on each daily basis added up.
That's a total amount of attendance through the gate, so with replacement if you're doing a statistic.
Any idea compared to other years or best years? I know it's a very good year, especially in the past couple of years, but like historic in the heyday, any clue?
I don't know.
I don't have records of the heydays. That was way before me, so
Yeah.
I don't know if that was tracked.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then the other line item, that's the $25,000 for park maintenance. Is that a one-time fee? In other words, did that include the updates that were done for the kids area? Or is that just the guys coming in and doing what they do?
That's the operational cost of the public works staff coming in and doing what they do. So that's a reoccurring cost, not unique.
Got it.
Do we want to talk about Memorial Day until school gets out?
One of the
Potential savings that we could have?
Yeah, one of the key items, if council members could look at exhibit, and again, the color copier kind of cut some stuff off. Exhibit 10. It's a colorful page with horizontal stripes. Not really befitting an appearance from a distance, but vertical's a little better. The stripes identified in green were days where there were less attendance and school had not yet let out. So calculation of the average day during the week during this period is $1,346.79 to run the park. So every day the day is open, the costs add up. So based upon the identified days, there's approximately $20,000 that could be saved operationally through eliminating 19 days of operations.
But that's not fair to the adults who are using it.
Just looking for opportunities to increase efficiencies. I mean, the unfortunate thing is if you're looking to change how the operations are of the park, someone's going to not have something that they might have wanted. It may be, we want to do it where there's less people impacted than there's more, and obviously it's a policy decision from the council's perspective, but this is just something operationally was identified.
So are you saying May 28th, which was a Tuesday, we had no guests?
Probably was raining that day too.
And then Wednesday, we had 3 guests?
So I would love to connect that with the weather too. I mean, just because you had no guests, it could have been raining that day.
Right, that's what I'm thinking too, like how do we,
But on the whole, I think the point was on the whole, before school lets out, park usage is significantly less than it is the balance of the year.
Yeah.
When I was working at a different recreational facility a long, long time ago, in a place not too far away, we were only open on weekends before school let out because of this exact reason.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Can we just maybe shift to a Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Well,
That's what's in the analysis. That's what's proposed.
Yeah.
So the savings would be approximately $20,000.
Correct.
That almost makes up for the deficit, and we're only talking about 4-week impact. I mean, look at the week of the 18th, 19th, 20th.
Well,
There was nobody there.
that could be 3 days of rain. I don't know, so.
Yeah, we still have to staff, we still have burn rate overhead.
Wednesday the 20th. See, my question is on Wednesday the 29th, it says you only had 3 people, then we had 25 hours of lifeguard pay.
It's projected based upon the average, so it may not be 100% accurate in terms of that actual savings. The daily costs are projected based upon the average.
Oh, so we don't know if there was 4 lifeguards on that day?
There may have been 4 lifeguards, we may have closed at 2 o'clock. We couldn't get down to that level of every single day what actually happened every
Right.
single time.
How do you,
Because that's what I'm saying, like the staffing numbers, like Tuesday, if you had nobody there, why did we have 4 lifeguards on? Why,
Because somebody could have come. I mean, that's the problem, is if you're open, you have to be able to.
I know, but you could say like, we're only going to use the front chair today. You can't go on these chairs. You could
Sure,
limit it.
we absolutely, we could limit the amount of beach frontage that could be
I think that's what I was
utilized.
talking about before. Operationally, there's ways to limit your costs without shutting down the park.
Sure.
yeah,
But I'd like to hear from people who go to the park.
Well, there's a public comment section, but that could be a slippery slope. You bring on 1 person,
Yeah.
and 30 people show up. That's not enough for, 1 is not enough for 30 people.
well, and we're also,
You can't have, hey, Johnny, come on in.
No, but
we're talking about
you could
life
just limit it
safety.
there. You have
That's the issue.
125 people over at 1 chair where there's 1 lifeguard with the kids. So you can have 1 lifeguard with 30 people. We do it with the Spot 23 and all these people. Look at the numbers.
Barb, is there numbers of people per lifeguard?
No, it's
It's the span.
the span.
So if you limit, where you only can swim between this flag and this flag, much like they do at the beach.
How many are the minimum number of lifeguards that you would be comfortable opening the park with?
like in the beginning of the year.
the minimum. I mean, we have to be able to, I think, staff at least 2 top chairs and at least 3 other lifeguard chairs. And then you have to have, I mean, you can't, these kids
And they
can't
have to
be
rotate.
on
On all the time,
100%
so you have
of the
to have
time.
breaks.
So then you've got to have, you know,
Somebody
they need
that's-
their breaks throughout the day. We plan the best we can, but we don't know who's going to show up at the beach,
Right.
So you're looking at 5, 6,
at least.
So I was going to say, this 1346 is about how many people?
Pardon me?
oh, how many lifeguards?
How many lifeguards is that 1346?
Pay of $1,346, $1,346.
Or is that a blended cost that also includes other things other than labor?
Well, it includes the management as well. So there has to be a manager.
Well, the management get paid a blank fee, they don't get paid per day, do they?
No, they don't, but it was just
Manager?
basically, management was divided up to come up with the daily cost.
Right,
Adam,
but that's
does any
what I'm
of your
saying,
ma-
so we wouldn't be saving on the management cost if we closed down because we pay him for the season.
Correct.
So we can't say we're gonna save that much because we're really not.
Oh, so I see about 706. Well, that was August.
Adam, how many of your fees are in there under?
No. He should. I mean, he could always jump in as lifeguard. Do you have your...
No. Sometimes there's fees for management and
There are costs assigned across the various utilities for, you know, manager, finance officer, payroll, things like that, based upon this analysis. Manager's not in this.
Right, on the 28th, we only had a lifeguard cost of $231.
it's raining,
Is that correct?
something.
Which one you looking at, Ron?
So I'm looking at the PV cost per day, May 28th, manager, you have 50.22, associated 2 and 231.55 as far as lifeguard.
And again, the goal of the analysis, I see the councilman's point, but the goal of the analysis is really to identify targets. So is it going to be to the dollar to the penny? No. Is there
Yeah.
a hypothetical way that could have been better approached when you average the costs out for that? Yeah.
Right, but I
But if you want to identify things to take a look at, you got to start somewhere.
Bob, you gotta talk into the mic.
Mr. Brewer, would you mind introducing?
Also, we have with us Barb Malloy, the recreation coordinator for the Township of Pequannock. I apologize for not identifying her at the outset.
But what I'm saying is if we decide to close and we're not saving that 13, I'm just curious how much of that was management, how much of that, like, an actual...
I can get an answer to that cost. I don't have it now.
Right, because that's, you know, if we're gonna say, oh, if we close for 3 weeks, we're gonna save $10,000 and we're only saving 5?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I think that's not something we need to...
Well, actually, it's right here. So Public Works gets assigned 247.53, OE is 426.28, and then 222.77. So realistically, you have a base burn rate of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, $900.
Yeah, I would
That
say
you
it's...
can't get rid of.
It's probably gonna,
Okay,
Right,
and
but
again,
we're
if this
still
is a
paying
conceptual...
DOE that money.
If this is a conceptual concept that, or that's a bad way to say it, but if this is something that is
Just
worth
an idea.
pursuing,
Yeah.
this is an idea based upon the potential savings, again, there's a lot of data here,
Right.
then okay, we'll dive deeper on it to figure out what the realistic number is before we make a final decision.
so what are we talking about, 15 days? Is that what you said?
19.
19 days?
I think realistically, the best thing to do is just increase membership. I mean, really, at the end
I
of
don't
the
think
day.
we can do that.
Well,
We might be able to increase some for-profit camps, but, I mean, I don't think we can increase...
we really don't market it. You know, yes, we have been doing things to try to get people there, so we have the food trucks, which is awesome. A lot of people go there. People are starting to see it. There's no bad news about PV Park. I mean, the water's beautiful, everything's great. So, if we
Residents
just,
pay money for parks and recs and items
Yeah.
like this in their taxes.
Right.
So
we're
you're
gonna-
going to, you know, if you want some of these nice things, then people have to pay for it through their taxes or
True.
whatever.
And then my goal with the analysis, based on the conversation we've had, is look, we have a deficit, let's narrow it as much as we can without hurting operations. You know,
well, this
cut
is
fat,
revenue
let's not cut
generating.
muscle.
Woodland Park isn't necessarily revenue generating, and we invest in that, whether it's the, you know, boats that we put on the park, or there's a person on duty over there.
I don't think we
put fish in it.
I don't think we put any boats on Woodland Park or Woodland Lake this year. And I don't think...
But we bought them.
We bought them probably 3-4 years ago. They're not still in use, are they?
No.
We bought Mickey Mouse boats, and they lasted for about 2 seasons, and that's it.
They sunk.
I hope they didn't sing.
At least not manned. So I'll take a look at the 19 days. We'll try to hone in on the actual costs. We'll look at payroll data. We'll look at hours of operation. We'll try to get more specifics on that. And we can.
So what are the 19 days times $1,300? $1,346.79. What does it come to?
But that's not a real number.
So
That's not a real number.
even if it's 15 grand, I mean, it's still
No, it's
something that
gonna be
we're
more like
saving.
$5,000. Maybe
It's not,
7.
because the only thing you could really take into account is the hourly salaries.
The hourly people, so
That's
your
it.
lifeguards and your gate guard.
That's it. That's the only money you're saving,
And that's not a lot.
and that's not a lot.
You know, why don't we ask the person who actually runs the joints? Barb, do you have any suggestions? I mean, any ideas? I mean, I know you run a tight ship, so it's not like
We do.
glaring.
She was involved in these
I know.
suggestions of closing.
There's nothing that's glaring that's like, oh, cut this whole week off. I mean, do you have any suggestions?
And we do, and we send guards home when there's not a lot of folks on the beach, but we have to be careful with that. If people come back to the beach, we can't call guards back. So we have to be careful with that. The closing those days, I'm there virtually every day, and I don't see people on the beach. I think that would be an opportunity if we're looking to cut down on the deficit.
Right, but what I'd like to know is if it's only the hourlies and you have 5 lifeguards there and they get $10 an hour, and you're there for 5 hours, that's $250 plus your gate guard. So that's $400 a day in costs. So if that's all you're saving, because you still have to do your maintenance, you still have to pay your manager a management salary. So in actuality, it's 600, 700 a day times, and is that worth it?
That's 12, 13 grand.
And is that worth it if we plan on upping the cost a little bit more?
Well, my suggestion, if we're going to be closing, not opening it, we can't increase the.
No, I
Increase
agree.
the price? Come on.
No. I'm not a fan of increasing the price even if we don't close the days.
I think a small increase, because I think it's the cheapest it's ever been.
Yeah.
It was more expensive years ago when my kids were in swim team.
Didn't we talk about upping the price over time, like $1, $1.50, like 50 cents a year for 3 years? When we upped it.
I think that was
Yeah, I
for
know.
the.
Why am I looking at you?
nonprofits.
When does the, Adam?
Yes.
When does the debt roll off, that $22,500?
The deferred charge?
Yeah.
Look at the payment schedule for it. And again, that depends on how much we appropriate each year as years go by, so that could vary.
Yeah, but you're gonna have to keep investing in the park too. You can't just.
Now, yeah, so that's based upon the projection that was developed would be 2027.
And right now, we have, PV Park has nothing in for capital improvements for their utility.
Correct, through the utility. Any capital improvements that were budgeted for PV Park this year, I think the only one was the basketball court, and that was budgeted through general capital, because the utility can't afford to pay for any capital improvements.
And they didn't do the basketball courts, because they have to.
Ended up being more expensive based on what we wanted to do and had to do,
Right.
yeah. So the other side of the balance sheet, if you will, is the revenue side. And this is an expense side conversation, but one of the other recommendations was to review how much outside groups are paying. Barb, if you can go over how that's established and what we charge the outside groups, the camps that use PV Park.
The camps?
And we can take a look at the revenue side.
Right. I think it's on the,
Exhibit,
which exhibit is that?
it's the fifth sheet, I believe. It says Exhibit
Right.
1.
For our for-profit camps, they have an upfront facility use fee of $500. Nonprofit at $250. And you'll see the nonprofits, you'll see that the different prices per head, that for the daily camp usage, boys and girls is at only $1 because their kids come in at a half day each day. They're not there a full day.
Hour and a half at the time.
Right, so they come in shifts. So they're charged $1 because their kids are, per kid, because they're just there under 4 hours.
So if they bring in 3 different shifts, they're paying $3 per kid, essentially.
Yeah. Spa 23, those kids are there all day. They're a for-profit. They're $3 per kid per day. Chapel Hill's a nonprofit. They're there for, over the 4 hours, which is considered a full day, so they're charged the $2.
What is our rack rate for daily? Or the retail published rate for a daily?
Say that again?
Yeah, what?
What is our rack rate for the daily? So in other words, if I wasn't a member and I just wanted to go in, is it $10 a day? I think it's $10 a day, right?
I don't think we have the daily rates here.
If I remember, I thought it was $10 a day for
It depends on the age range, 2 to 17. The different age ranges are a little bit different, and then the weekend rates are a little bit different as well.
And then out of town, right?
That was
We don't have a day rate out of town anymore.
Got it, okay.
We have a out-of-town season pass rate.
Okay, Ryan,
Right.
child is $8, an adult is 10, a senior is 7 on a weekday. A weekend, a child is 9. This is on Exhibit 3, PV Park gate admissions.
Yeah, this ties out the daily receipts indicate.
A weekend is a child is 9, an adult is 11, and a senior is 9.
Thank you.
So a regular weekday resident for a child would be 8, and a non-resident, which we don't have anymore, would have been 10, but they were getting it for 3.
Well, I mean, I know some of you have issues with Spot 23, so let's get it out there.
But even if you raise them $2, Dave, or raise it up $2, you're only making up $6,000.
Exactly.
But that's not the only thing they do. When the park closes, say the park closes at 4 because of rain, PV Park kids, the Spot 23 stays there
Till 6.
till 6.
So the lifeguards stay there.
Yeah.
Till 6.
You need
So they're
somebody there with it.
Right.
Barb's shaking her head.
No, when the park, if we choose to close the park because of weather, Spa 23 calls guardians or parents, and I have a lifeguard or one staff member wait there until every single kid is out of the park.
I can show you an email where they said the park is being closed, but we are staying here till 6.
I'm not aware of that, but that's not,
I'll send it to you, because somebody
Okay.
sent it to me. They got an email from their child, from Spot 23.
Right.
Stating, PV Park is closed, but don't worry, we're going to stay here. We'll be under the pavilion. You can pick up your child at 6.
I think it says try to get here before 6,
But
but if not,
No, if we close the park, they are instructed, stay there until the last kid is picked up.
Right.
I've never said.
So swim operations stop at that point, but they may be able to physically stay there.
Correct.
so what happens if we close the park at 2 o'clock and a parent can't get there till 5?
That's never happened. I mean,
When was that? When was the email? I forwarded it to you. It came... I'm just telling you.
I'm not disputing what, yeah.
Spot 23 is telling the people.
Right.
So you guys say stay till everybody, and they're saying, oh, we contacted them. They're saying, don't worry, we're fine, we're under the pavilion.
Well, that's where we put them when it's raining,
I
until
know,
they're picked up, but yeah.
What I'm saying is they're kind of taking advantage of that, whereas we're spending money when we could have closed. They need to make alternate plans.
Yeah, if that happened. I'm not aware of that happening this year, though.
Do you have that? Cash?
I mean, I believe you got the email. I just wasn't made aware of it.
Let me see if I can find it.
Maybe you sent it to me and Melissa. I thought it was a text message.
Okay, so where are we at with this?
Here it is, August 28th. You sent it to myself and Melissa.
Okay.
We had an awesome time at Sky Zone this morning, and those who stayed back at PV Park had a nice, relaxing time. As the rain moves in, pickup will happen in the front area of PV Park, in parentheses, the same location at morning drop-off. Please pull your car up and the director will meet you at the car. Aftercare will be held under the snack stand of PV Park until 6 p.m. or at your earliest convenience. If you have any questions, please call Member Services, 973-839-8823.
Right, and you had closed the park early that day.
Pardon me?
Your director, Kate, C-A-I-T.
That's Kate, yeah.
Kate.
So operationally, Barb, what do you think happens then? Do all the lifeguards go home but one stays? Do all lifeguards go home but a manager
I
stays?
never have staff leave until everyone's out of the park.
Okay, so all staff would stay or some staff would stay in that situation?
And when we close the park due to weather, I have one, maybe two stay, depending on how many kids are still there waiting for pickup.
So they're
It's either the manager, assistant manager, or head guard.
All right, so listen.
Plus, there's a liability issue.
I'm a firm believer that not every program that we run makes money.
Correct.
We're going to have programs that
Right.
make money, we're going to have programs that lose money. Losing $39,000, if we can trim anything off, I think is a good thing for us. So, I mean, if we raise Spot 23 to 5, and it's an extra $6,000, it's an extra $6,000. I also think that if we do have a situation similar to what I just read, there should be a $50 fee that Spot 23, okay, the park closes at 4 o'clock, the last kid gets picked up at 6, it's an extra $100. I'm sorry, but it is, if I gotta keep somebody there, there's gotta be a fee attached.
So, Dave, let me ask you a question. How many people from Spot 23 are there?
I have no idea. You
No,
mean
they have a full staff.
staff-wise?
Staff,
yeah.
Okay.
One per 5.
One per
They
five.
have an excellent staff, yeah.
I mean, I don't think we can bang up shop and just leave Spot 23.
No.
No, because being
workers
spread
there.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm just curious on
Yeah, I
what
mean,
they had there.
rather than try to come up with a dynamic cost that's going to
Yeah.
vary based upon the weather, perhaps we can take a look at how many times this may or may not have happened over the last few years, come up with an average, use the $50 and just apply that to their set initial fee. So if it's $500 initially, Barb, and then $3 per, so maybe we just figure out what that cost would be, and then add that to their upfront cost as opposed to have a dynamic cost.
We can do that, but I mean, I really don't want to price them out. I think
Right, you don't want to do
I
that
don't
either.
think $5 a kid, when they're charging, what are they charging?
They're charging like $250.
$200 a week is,
Right.
Well, it's
25 bucks for,
And they actually,
even if they charge 200
drop
bucks.
their children off at PV Park. Their flyer actually says our park on the Spot 23 flyer. They drop their children off at Spot 23. The parents pick
No.
their kids up.
They drop
I mean,
their
at
kids-
PV Park. They pick them up at PV Park.
It
They're
used to-
using,
it used to walk.
they
They
couldn't
used to
do
walk.
this camp at their own facility. They can't fit all the kids that are there.
So just for clarification, to make sure I understand, Spot 23 came through the gate 3,097 times over this summer. So that could be 500 kids, that could be 300 kids. That's how many times they actually came through the gate. Every time a kid
I
comes
think
through
it
the gate.
ranged from a low of in the 20s to a high of 80 in the analysis. There's the daily rate,
So
daily participation.
I'm just saying, so if we upped it to $5, I understand they get $200 a week, but what's the impact then? Because that would be another $10 added to their operational cost.
They'll just pass it on to the parents.
We should just pass it along to us again.
I mean, I would much rather do that than raise residential
No, I get it.
memberships.
times 5 to get that, see the delta. So if it was raised to $5 per child, based upon the numbers from 2019, that $9,291 would be just over $15,000. So it'd be an additional approximately $6,000 of revenue.
Would we be able to cut some days out? If we cut days out, are those the same days that Spot 23 is using it, or they're not using
No,
it?
they
Spot
don't use it
23
until
doesn't
afterwards.
until use it until after school gets out.
Can we cut days out and increase Spa? Like, let's say we went up to $4 and then we cut those days out, and let's take a look at this again next year.
No,
See
we're
what the
not,
net
they're
was.
not, Spot 23 isn't losing anything by going to $5. We haven't cut any of their days. They
Yeah,
don't
the
start till
days they use it are after
afterwards.
school.
So if we cut those 15 days out, that's not.
Doesn't
gonna
affect Spot 23 one iota.
So, just so I have this correct, Spot 23 charges $200 per kid for their
2 to
ticket.
250. They do like an early bird for 2 and then it's 250. Yes, they do.
Per week, yeah, but there's going to be a cost for that one person for the 5 kids. I mean,
Plus insurance and other.
right,
Yeah, they have all that.
you may price them out of the camp.
Well, no, because the reality is, like she was saying, was that they have no venue.
No other place to go.
Right, they're
Spot
leveraging our
23 isn't gonna
venue,
say
so
we're
they're
not
not-
doing it anymore. They make money hand over fist on us.
They're not paying insurance for the venue, they're not paying for the venue, they're not paying overhead
I'm
of the
sure they have to
venue,
carry
upkeep
some
of the
sort of
venue.
insurance.
They're carrying insurance.
Yeah, so,
Based on the attention on the
They're paying
subject,
salaries is what they're
if it
paying.
was all right with council, would council be comfortable with me sitting down with the leadership of Spot 23?
Yes.
And just saying to them, look, we're having
This
this
is what we're thinking
conversation,
of
this
doing.
is what we're looking at, we understand the operations here, let's understand where everybody stands and no
Yeah.
specifics, not a negotiation, it's the council's decision, there's
That's
no
what I'm
question of
saying. If
that.
you're gonna,
But
I don't know, I don't like.
get a feel for, I mean, it's a relationship, right? We exist, they exist, we exist together.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're using our place. So we don't have relationships with every person and have negotiations.
we have a loss, and we have
And it's-
to...
nobody else is paying $10,000 either.
I mean-
so.
He's not paying it, parents are.
I don't have a problem with you going over and
I
talking.
don't either.
Neither do I.
Okay. Can we do it relatively quickly? 'Cause
Certainly.
I'd like to get this resolved before
Yeah, before they start marketing.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, no, it's not a negotiation, it's not a commitment, just an explanation of where, the thoughts are, and maybe his comment is, look, if it were raised a certain amount, that's no big deal, I'd be happy to pay that.
If I was a business owner, I would tell you that.
Yeah, what he's gonna do is say, there's no way I could afford that. I'm not
That's what I
doing
would
it. I'm
say.
not gonna bring my
Okay.
kids here.
Right, that's what I would
We
say.
are
Maybe he
operating at a
does,
deficit,
or maybe he doesn't.
and we have a responsibility to our constituents, so, we're just trying to be good stewards.
Right, so the hone in on the costs associated with the 19 identified days, so a more informed decision can be made there. Review the costs associated with Spot 23. Staffing isn't one really for, the council to get involved with, except for us to explain to you that we understand that there's some efficiencies that can be enhanced, and, we're going to talk to the leaders about that.
Yeah, like I said before, I think Barb runs a tight ship, so it just is what it is.
What is the general feeling about us going out to bid again for snack stand?
I think it's a great idea. We're not in that
But
business.
here's
There's a rub on this.
there's a good side and there's a bad side. I mean, if we go out to bid and someone says, oh yeah, I'll do it, pays us $2,000, say, so that's $6,500 in management salary from the snack stand that we already don't have to pay. But the guy operates for a month and says, you know what, this place, I'm out of here.
We should have...
Legally, can we hold him to a?
Yeah, wouldn't you have to put a bond or something down?
They'd have to pay.
Or something?
We'd have to set it up, they have to
Yeah.
pay the fee, but I don't know that we can, well, maybe we could put Adam in the bid, the RFP that you must remain open at least a certain number of hours.
Yeah.
Well, in a week is part of your obligation to us.
We can, but then that's...
It might be that we get
Adam's
nobody.
Food, and then
Well, that's
quadruple A is
exactly
Adam's
right.
Food, and they could just bang up shop.
Exactly.
I think one of the things to consider with this discussion is there's virtue to that. I've done this in other municipalities where you go out and you get guaranteed revenue, but you need to identify what's the goal of our snack operation. Is it to support our overall operations and part of the global benefit? Is it improvement just like anything else? It's
to
there to
feed the
aid.
people. Come on.
So I don't have to go home, I can get a hot dog, and I can have a better experience in
Yeah,
PV.
absolutely.
Or do we say with the current structure that we have, is there a way of tightening your belt? I mean, the one time I was there was 3 girls working the snack stand.
And that's
Do
part
we
of the
really-
staff.
Do we really need 3?
Yeah, the operation of the snack bar, just for the benefit of the record and the public, lost about $1,000 this year.
But again, we're, as a municipality, we're not in the food business. I would love to see maybe even a bundling, and I don't know if we can do this. But, we do have 2 other places that can serve food. And one is, the other 2 are only open during baseball season, and we could definitely leverage one because we have a soccer season, we have other seasons, and there's a lot of people there. Is there something that we can do with all 3 of these kitchens?
Well, and if it were a nonprofit organization in the community, you don't have to go to bid. So if there was someone that were interested, that's a different dynamic.
I think that's...
It's a heck
Yeah,
of
I
an
think
undertaking.
that's getting a little,
I'm just sharing all the data.
Since, Little League runs that snack stand,
But
and
I can tell you that snack stand was closed more times than it was open because
Well-
we just can't get the parents to staff it.
then
Yeah, but
they
that's
they
the pain
make money
point.
hand over fist there, so.
We're not losing anything on the Little League snack stand because
Right.
It's not our-
Oh, true.
it's theirs.
It's
But,
theirs.
I mean, if we bundled, let's say, Hillview, because you still have soccer season and everything there, and that thing is only opened through Little League season, which is 2 months, and that's it. Maybe that is something that you can bundle that with PV Park and say, here's 2?
I think just PV Park for the 3 months, or even the 2 months, if we're gonna, weekends up until we open, if we decide to close, and let somebody come in and do it. If they want to pay us $2,500, what'd you say, $2,500?
I don't know,
We would
I was using that as an
Right,
example.
and then they
$2,000,
run it?
In the municipality I worked for previously, there were 2 pools with 2 snack stands, and we got $2,000 a year for the people to come in, not 4 total,
Right.
$2,000 a year for the people to come in and run the snack stand.
But
we were still responsible
Did
for
we pay
capital
any salaries?
maintenance.
Did you pay any
No,
salaries?
there were no costs associated
So
with
it's
it.
not only the 6,500.
It's a cost avoidance factor.
The
Right,
other.
exactly.
But we're still responsible for like freezer and those kind of things.
Correct.
And
Which we just replaced a lot of stuff, so we're good.
I will say that we did go out to bid a couple years ago, and we got no one.
Right, you remember
And
that.
that's why we went to doing it
We have to have
ourselves.
something, yes,
Right.
but I don't think that we're.
I mean,
except for
I don't think you're gonna get anybody bidding on that, you can't make money on that. Look how much money you made. Nothing. Negative.
I think somebody will take it. We'll
For
see.
2 months.
Dave, you have a lot of time on your hands.
We can,
Oh, yeah, at a beach house, sorry.
Dave's dogs.
we can put a request for proposals together and have it out in, say, January, February, and see if there's any interest, and if there's interest, there's interest, and if there isn't, there isn't.
Yeah.
If there isn't, we know
Try.
what our costs are.
And if we do it, does it mean that we have to? If we get one bid, do we have to award it? No. All right, so,
Then, so what's it gonna hurt?
yeah, let's try it.
And, I've got one, we just need to modify it based upon what's going to do with price.
Let's try it. Anybody else have any comments before I open this to the public? One thing that I think, even though we don't have a budget for PV Park, I'd like to see maybe 1 or 2 more big umbrellas there. And I'd also, we talked about it with the manager of buying more small umbrellas and putting a small rental fee on those next year.
It will include it as a component of the budget discussion.
Yeah, all right. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized, come to the microphone, and provide your name and address for the record. Come on up. Nope, right in the front. Blues way. I was drawing a blank.
That was so good.
Sorry.
And I can tell you, I don't have bottom line numbers, but back in the so-called day, you were lucky if you found a spot to put your blanket.
Really? And that's all around the lake?
Absolutely. That's when they chlorinated.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking about Spot 23, it's been such a bone of contention with a lot of people that go in the lake.
Sorry, you just hold on 1 second.
Hold that thought.
Well, it's got to be so we can hear it on the recorder.
This is like that movie, Meet the Fockers, where... You know which one I'm talking about.
I would say but I'm not going.
Okay. I'm surprised at the amount of money they pay the spa. And I think, personally, if you raise it to $10 a child, they'll pay it. Because think about it, he doesn't even have to pay for transportation. They walk like the chain gang. If
They don't even walk anymore.
They don't
just-
even walk,
they're
the
dropped
parents
off
drop
there
them right
now.
off there.
Right. But if he says, I'm going to go elsewhere, he would have to pay to get them back. Well, all right, with the parents. But, the people who go there have money. And I think that they would pay a higher amount to have their children go there. I do. I think $10 a child is nothing. And raising the other ones, if they're $1, raise it to $2.50. $1 a head is nothing. It doesn't even touch some of the things that you have to cover, maintenance, above everything else. But like I said, and I have to tell you, I leave that lake at about 5:30, and every single time I leave, there are still campers there. And there's always one or two counselors waiting, but there are still campers at 5:30. And that's the rule, not the exception. So, they don't leave at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. They're there until somebody comes to pick them up. And it's pretty late. So, I don't know. You have an objection to raising them to $10 a head?
That might be a little stiff.
Yeah, I think to go from 2 to 10,
3.
from 3 to 10, that's a huge jump.
$7.50. But he doesn't have to pay for any transportation.
You want to go with Adam?
Absolutely. I will.
Well, we can.
Oh, I'm not.
We know, Carrie.
They have labor costs that they're paying for, the counselors, for lack of a better word.
I'm sure they have insurance.
Spot 23, there's a bunch of stuff that they're expenses for also. Yeah, he may be making money.
They're making money hand over fist on us.
First off, I don't think he'd ever admit it, and secondly, I don't think he'd ever let us look at his books either. So,
Of course. Of course.
if you're talking to him, he's going to say he's not making any money.
Of course.
Right. So I think it's important that Adam sit down with him and feel him out.
No, I agree.
Say the council's looking at increasing their fee. The question is, how much are we going to increase it? And,
Right.
throw out a number and see if he balks or
Adam, start at 10.
I say start at 10 and be happy with $7.50.
I think it's a little steep. But
I'll go with you if you want. That's it. I really, unless you have any questions,
Can I
but
just clarify that Spa 23 is scheduled to be there until 6 o'clock, unless we close the park. They are scheduled to be there until 6.
I thought you were
What time
saying
do they
that
get
they leave by 4.
What time do
When
they
it
get?
closes because of weather.
They're there all day.
So they're at 10.
They actually get dropped off at 9.
They get dropped off and they wait outside.
They get dropped off at 9 o'clock. They wait outside till 10, and then they're let in sometime around 10.
the parents are working.
And that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. So they actually use our facilities, our parking lot, and I agree with you.
And quite a few of the people that I know at the lake, regular residents, have been going there for years and years, would not mind a minimal increase.
I was just going to ask you that. So you wouldn't think that it would be a bad thing if we raised
Absolutely
the
not.
resident rate slightly? I'm not saying...
No, right
We
now.
raised it $1.
We pay $80, family, Lou and I. Have no problem. Pay $100.
Right.
It's still a bargain. You look anywhere, you don't have to pay for parking, you don't have to drive down on the Garden State Parkway. It's a minimal increase.
Right,
It
I
really is.
Didn't we do away with the family? We went to individual?
Or
So
up
it's
to some.
$40
Oh, so
fee.
you pay $40.
Exactly. We have no problem with
Yeah.
that whatsoever.
All right, well, we can look at...
But I wouldn't
any-
close it between Memorial Day. We go
That's
there
what I
at 2
wanted to
o'clock.
ask you.
We go at 2 o'clock as soon as it opens.
So
You're
from,
gonna
it's open from Memorial Day? Oh, it's only open 2 to 7?
Until school lets out,
Oh.
like June 17th
So we're
or
really not
something.
going to save a heck of a lot of money closing it for,
That's that $600 cost,
So
which is about 12 grand, 10 grand.
no,
We can-
600 a day times 20 days, you know?
we can have another
Maybe.
conversation about this at the regular council meeting next week, next council meeting, but bring the membership fees.
Yeah, I was-
We'll discuss that. I think we hashed out most of,
Yeah.
you know,
I'd still like to get a better idea of some of the fee breakdown.
Yeah, are the membership fees in this?
They're on page,
yeah, they're in that page.
Identified, the fourth page in the group, PB Park membership fee revenue, membership costs. It lists cost, how many were sold, the total revenue collected.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So 18
But it
to
doesn't have the individual
61 is $80 a person.
Correct.
2 to 17 is 30. Senior individual is 40, which you and
Sure.
you guys are paying. Non-resident senior individual.
What is a senior over 61?
You're not there yet, Rich.
63. Looking for a bargain here.
So wait a minute. Oh, we don't have the non-resident senior individual anymore? So wait a minute.
There could be.
I understand.
Yeah, I don't think that's the daily rate, I think that's an individual person.
That's for the season, right?
Correct.
So I thought we did away with the non-resident. Oh, that's for the season.
Senior individual,
Oh,
like-
for the season. Okay, all right.
Like an
sorry.
individual living in-
Sorry. I know. Okay. All right. So I mean, if we can, increase membership fees, minimal to help.
And also the spa.
Oh, the spas. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm already paying $250 for my family for 2 months?
It's still the best deal around.
That's a lot of...
You go to any of the other pools in other townships, they start at $1,500 a season. Really. This is the best deal around.
That's crazy.
Not just price-wise, but it's so close.
All right, I'm gonna ask that we go to the next person because we have another meeting starting at 7. We got Dave coming up.
So of the 17,000 people who passed through,
Name and address for the record, Mr. Holbrook.
Dave Holberg, 289 Boulevard.
Not lose wife.
Plain section of Pequannock Township.
Thank you.
Of the 17,000 people who passed through the doors, how many individual does that represent? Do we know? How many individual people?
that would be the gate fees?
I don't understand the question.
No, so he wants to
You're
know.
counting people multiple times.
Correct. Each day.
So, right.
How many total people did we have that were?
Right.
That were
How many
members?
separate people were there?
I'm saying it looked like you
PB
had
Park,
about
1,359.
unique.
Unique
Right.
members.
First question Dave is asking.
Wait, that's membership.
Yeah, that's membership.
You're counting
Okay.
people twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5
To
times.
get that 17,000, but I'm saying the number of members sold is 1,359.
Of those members, how many are residents?
60%.
So 600. So about 4% of township population are members.
No, about 1,000 are members. So you got to back out,
You gotta back out 197.
75.
Well, the memberships by categories has it at 39% are the non-resident, so.
Yeah, okay.
So somewhere between 600 and 1,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 5 to 6% of township residents are members. The primary difference between PV Park and every other park that we run is that you have to be a member in order to use the facility. If you don't pay the membership fee, you can't use it. Which makes it different than just a general park that we use general property taxes to maintain and pay for. Since it's a membership-only park, the memberships should pay for the costs associated with it. When was the last time that we increased fees for PV Park?
Good question. I think
I
you
think,
touch it.
yeah, I think they've been going down.
It was before you were elected.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
No, I thought we talked about it maybe 3 years ago.
We changed the rates.
Yeah.
We did away with the family structure.
Right.
But we did not increase the rates. Matter of fact, most families ended up paying less because they were gaming the system with the whole family.
Yeah.
You had, 18 people in a family.
And I thought, but we would make up on that because I think when my son swam, he was the only one who swam, I had to buy a PV Park membership. I just
You did.
got the family, it was $120 for the family, but I just did it for him.
And we still do that, right. So we end up taking in less revenue based on the whole swim
Right.
team
Correct.
function.
Right.
So if it's been more than 10 years, probably more like 13, since we increased PV Park memberships, and you just heard that we're less than 10% of what other towns charge, I don't see a problem with increasing membership fees by 10 years' worth of increases. Maybe don't do it in 1 year, but over the next 2-3 years, let's get memberships to the point where it's covering the cost of the park. Because I don't use PV Park. Why should I have to pay in my property taxes to subsidize people who are?
But Dave, tell me the last time that we did turn profit PV Park. We never have.
Oh, no, we have. We absolutely have.
Not in the last 8 to 10 years we probably haven't.
How's everything?
There's probably been 2 or 3 years in the last 8 or 10 that we did. The unfortunate incident of a couple of years ago, I don't think we have since then. And weather caused an issue for several years. But there was an absolute decline in membership for years that we were chasing. And it sounds like the decline has stopped, because if we're still at over 1,000 members, then, it's been stable for 5 years now.
For a couple of years now.
So if you're at a stable membership rate, it's time to start increasing that. The one reason we didn't increase rates was to combat declining membership.
Right.
And if that's not a problem anymore, it's time to increase rates.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think if we increase rates to make up the deficit, do you think we're going to still have 1,039 people?
Not if you do it responsibly, especially if other towns, and I would encourage you to actually take a look at what other towns charge.
Yeah, by way of example, I know Morris Township for their pools charges about $400 a season for non-residents.
It's a pool, though.
Correct.
It's not a lake.
There's not a lot of lakes out there, but we can look at lakes.
No, but if we took the cost up for $5 per person, that's not a whole heck of a hit.
I don't think we can throw out numbers. I think what Dave said is correct. We need to look at what other lakes in the area are charging.
But we have to get up there, so it still has to be a staged-in approach.
Well,
We need to
and
find
come
a
up
goal
with a
first.
3, 4, 5-year plan to get rates from where they are to something that actually represents the cost of the park. If that ends up being 150 from where you are now, then, increase it. But you can't get there unless you start. The other point that I just want to kind of make is that, the whole, if you have members who are there and can use the park essentially for 100 days, because that's how many days the park is open. So you pay $40 for a membership. Your cost per day is 40 cents to get into the park. And now you're talking about charging, a daycare facility $10 per day?
We didn't say that.
I know, it was an idea that was thrown out. I think you have to look at the comparison between, what it costs and the equity between what you're charging memberships. Essentially, the daycare providers are paying for a membership. It's limited to weekdays from July 4th to Labor Day. So there's, 5 times 10? They're there for 50 days, not 100 days. But I don't think you can charge some people 40 cents a day and someone else $10 a day. That's not equitable. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No. All right, there being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn the special meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the special meeting adjourned at 6:54. I'm hitting the head.
As previously forecast.